Hello, thanks for tuning in. It's Stuart here, the unrepentant atheist, and we've got a quite an amusing call, Max, on the latest edition of The Line from 26th of May 2024. So it's quite a long call. He originally called in saying that, well, something must have come from nothing, etc., etc. And it could have been the multiverse or it could have been God. So it's one or the other. The multiverse is unlikely, so it must have been God. It had to be something. They spent about sort of 25 minutes on this. Matt asked Max for a syllogism to demonstrate that it had to be, there has to be something, that there had to be a cause, and that cause was God. Max then accused Matt of intimidating him and bullying him intellectually because Max is not familiar with what a syllogism is and certain other words. He accused Matt of using big words. And Erica stepped in and said, well, I don't think that's the case, because if you'd asked Matt what a syllogism is, he would have been happy to explain it to you, and there was no bullying going on, which is completely true. So moving on, we eventually come to this point where it gets into really freaky territory, because he's now claiming, where we're going to pick up the conversation, that the reason there is a God, and particularly Christianity is true, is because it got us into space. So let's just pick up on that claim and see where we go.
Almost analogously
but
to how
none of them
humans
ever went into space. None of them have built.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So Erica has said, just to demonstrate that species have been prolific and have been successful even without religion. And for example, Homo erectus was around, I don't know, she said for 2 million years, and there was no evidence that there was any religion going on there. 2 million years is a long time. We've only been on the planet 300,000 years, and we're kind of driving ourselves to extinction. So we may not last as long as Homo erectus. And on that measure, we won't be such a successful species, even though we've got religion and they didn't. And then he's coming to, well, but Homo erectus didn't get to space. Okay, let's get this train of thought going.
Built like spaceships and planes, and completely transport nature to suit their needs.
Is that how you define success? Because I would define success as the number of species on the planet and or how long they've been here. Because we're on a fast track to extinction here. We've only been here 300,000 years. We've only been industrial.
Yeah, it would be a greater success on this planet if we could feed the world's hungry, wouldn't it? Never mind about sending people into space. If there was no world hunger, that would be some kind of credit-worthy success. As for sending men into space and landing them on a cold rock, yeah, okay, that's a great technological achievement, but whether it's a success on the same level as a humanitarian success that would be really credit-worthy, in other words, to eliminate world hunger, that's debatable.
For, I don't know, less than 300?
I'm also confused at how you can have a God that creates everything and then does nothing else and say that's a foundation for a religion, and religion is important, and we've gone to space. What religion sent us to space, and how did it do that?
So for the first question, I think it's irrelevant which religion it is. It's just that it's a natural justification, explanation why it seems that why the world exists. And
So
it could be Islam, it could be.
If I may here, Max,
so you don't care about what's true?
Okay, so bear in mind, remember what he said there. He said it's irrelevant which religion sent us into space. It's irrelevant which religion. It could be Islam, Christianity, whatever.
I mean, I'm a deist. I think God created the world and then he went away. Didn't do anything else. And, whichever religion is more effective.
But there's no deist religion because there are no properties and no interactions with a deistic God. Deists are claiming to have discovered a God that's undiscoverable.
I'm not sure what that means.
It means if God doesn't interact with reality in any detectable way, then claiming to detect the undetectable is irrational. But let's say we made up a God Are you saying that it's okay to make up religions about gods that aren't the deistic God you believe in, and those are fine?
Yeah. I think
okay, cool.
I
then
think
in that case, the God
up.
you believe in, is useless and irrelevant, because I can make up any religion about any God, and that's going to be more useful than the God that you're proposing. Now,
this is what I don't get about deists. Yeah, I mean, exactly. What is the point in a God that doesn't interact with reality, that you can't pray to, that doesn't judge you, that doesn't set up some kind of afterlife, where there's basically no stake in believing in this God or not? So what's the point in positing this God? Okay, as an intellectual exercise maybe, but to actually phone in on a show sort of demonstrates that you care to quite a high level that this deistic God actually exists, and that you believe somehow that this deistic God got human beings into space.
Answer my other question about which religion took us to space and how.
Well, I believe it was our Christian religion and Protestant.
Okay, so this is the point. Earlier on, he said it's irrelevant which, and now he's saying it's the Christian religion. And not only that, a particular branch of Christian religion, the Protestantism.
Especially because of, the Protestant work ethic, and, just our shared Judeo-Christian values.
Are you suggesting that there weren't plenty of non-Protestants who have a good work ethic and who participated in getting us to the moon?
Of course, there were. I'm just saying.
Then you don't get to then you don't get to credit it with the Protestants. When I say which religion took us to the moon and how, the very notion.
Now, I don't quite get the whole point of this, because okay, he's saying that he's a deist, so he believes in a God that started everything but does not interfere, and now he's saying that Protestant work ethic, Protestant Christianity work ethic, is mainly to be credited with getting us into space and getting us to the moon. So I've always admitted that religion can have utility, and it may well be the case, but I mean, so what? So what if it's the case that that particular work ethic, which is connected with Protestantism, helped get us to the moon, or was maybe instrumental even in getting us to the moon? If you're somebody that only cares about whether a religion is true, then the utility of it isn't really that relevant.
How? The very notion that you come back with, well, Protestant work ethic, how dare you suggest that all of those, like Carl Sagan and others, didn't have a decent work ethic? And so when I ask you, of course they had a work ethic. Of course they helped get us to moon. And so now we've established that people who are Protestant may or may not have a good work ethic, and people with a good work ethic may or may not be Protestant, and people with a good work ethic may or may not have contributing to get us to the moon. So you have a bunch of useless assertions, none of which demonstrate which religion got us to the moon or how.
And if I may, Max, I think the journey to the moon is directly antithetical to the ideology that you're proposing here, right? Like when we first proposed the moon project, like going to the moon and the space race in general, there were a great many people who were like, no, that's not.
You know something? I'd like to take this guy, Max, and I'd like to pair him up. There was another caller who, I've got to review that call, who claimed that obviously not only is the Earth flat, there's a firmament, there's a dome, and we've never been into space. There have never been meteorites or any of that. I would like actually Max to talk to this other caller and put them together, because really they're wasting our time. Why should we have to put up with this nonsense? Why don't we pair people with these ideas and these claims and put them together and let them argue it out? Because I don't really see why we should waste time with this. And anyway, I think it would be very amusing to see that.
It's not doable. You can't actually do that. That's not something within the grasp of humanity. And it was the people who said, no, this is something that if we investigate, we can actually go forward and accomplish it, that made it happen. And that's directly antithetical to what you're proposing about investigating the origin of the universe. Right? You're the person who would have prevented the space race from going down. You would have been the guy who was like, nah, sorry, it's not doable. We can't make it happen. We don't understand how to get ourselves to space now. Therefore, we will never understand it. It's not understandable.
Well, okay, now she's in danger of straw manning him. Let's see how he comes back.
And it's weird that the same religion.
Yeah, that's not my position. Yeah, she strawmanned him. I mean, I get accused by Christians of strawmanning Christians, and Christians strawman me, and I get fed up with it, and I don't like seeing anybody strawmanned.
It's weird that the same religion that imprisoned Galileo for daring to suggest that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe is the one that you think took us to space.
I do think Catholicism took us to space, and maybe I have...
Now, he just said there, I do think Catholicism took us into space. I thought he said that Protestantism took us into space.
My words were taken out of context. America.
Yeah, because you said Protestant. It's not out of context for me to hear Protestant when you say fucking Protestant. But now you switched to Catholic. Okay, what about the Catholic religion got us to the moon?
No.
Excuse me?
I'm saying...
By the way, I noticed there was some edit there. I don't know if you noticed that flash. I wonder what was edited out. I don't know. I don't watch these programs live, by the way, because of when they go out in the UK. I think they're in the middle of the night. I don't watch them live. I watch them recorded.
I didn't switch to Catholic. I said that it's the Protestant work ethic and the Judeo-Christian values that our founders have, based the whole Constitution on.
Yeah, he said Catholicism got us into space. I know. I don't know. I think he's confused.
Literally just said Catholic.
Okay, well, in that case, that's not what I meant. I meant that our Protestants.
Okay. Here, why don't we stick a pin in this, and you go off and think about what you meant, and you call back in. That way, there's no chance that I'm bullying you by giving too many questions, and you can call in and explain which religion sent us to the moon, how they did it, how you know they did it, and why doesn't matter whether or not that religion is true. But let's save it for another time, because I've got other theistic callers. Sorry, what?
The founding fathers were deists, and
some of them were deists. Some of the founding fathers were deists. Some of them weren't. Why is the religious view of the founding fathers relevant at all to how we got to the moon? Do you know that they also kept slaves?
Well, it was normal in
Do you know that they also kept slaves?
Yeah, of course.
Why don't you bring that up? Why don't you bring that up and say that it's slavery that got us to the moon?
Because we abolished it in 1865.
Because you're cherry picking.
I don't think
that's why. It's because you're cherry picking. You should look that up while you're looking up syllogisms. I'm gonna move on to another caller now, but thanks, Mac.
Okay, well, that's it. I just played that because I thought it was amusing that he claimed that religion had got us to the moon. So, no, science got us to the moon, not religion. Okay, thanks for watching. Goodbye.